Dr. Park had the most significant news. Sir, we're intercepting Dominion Co-High Regent Vextal paced across the crystal floor of the Dominion Council chamber, his normally calm demeanor cracking under pressure. The holographic reports floating around him painted a picture he had never seen before in his 1,000-year reign. Explain to me, he said to the assembled council members, how a single primitive world is destroying our invasion fleet. War Marshal Kethra's image appeared in the center of the chamber via long-range communication. His scaled skin looked pale and his eyes showed the strain of weeks of unexpected warfare. High Regent, the humans are not fighting like any species we have encountered. They have adapted to our technology faster than should be possible. They use tactics that what? Vextel interrupted. That seemed designed to cause maximum psychological damage. They target our supply lines, capture our ships intact, and turn our own weapons against us. Worse, they broadcast recordings of captured crews to demoralize other ships. One of the plant-like council members, Elder Koltesh of the Vorn Collective, rustled his bark-like skin nervously. War Marshal, surely you can adapt your tactics to counter theirs. We have tried, Elder, but they learn faster than we can adapt. Every strategy we develop, they counter within days. Every weapon we deploy, they reverse engineer and improve upon. Scholar Nixom's hologram appeared next to Kethra's. High Regent, I have completed my analysis of human psychology and behavior patterns. I believe we have made a fundamental error in our understanding of this species. Explain. Every species the Dominion has conquered evolved as prey animals. Their survival instinct when facing superior force is to submit or flee. Humans evolved as apex predators on what they call a death world. The council chamber fell silent. The concept of a species evolving as predators was foreign to most of the assembled aliens. What does this mean practically? Asked another council member. It means, Scholar Nixom continued, that when threatened, humans become more dangerous, not less. Their planet produced the most aggressive and adaptable species the galaxy has ever seen. High Regent Vextal studied the casualty reports. In 1 month of fighting, the Dominion had lost over 150 ships. The humans had lost 37, but they had also captured 29 Dominion vessels and were using them effectively. What are our options? He asked. War Marshal Kethra's response was troubling. We can continue the current strategy and hope to wear them down through attrition. We can withdraw and try a different approach, or what? We can deploy the planet killer weapons and end this quickly. The suggestion sent shockwaves through the council. Planet killer weapons were reserved for the most extreme circumstances. Using them would turn Earth into a dead rock, destroying any potential value the world might have. But before Vextal could respond, his aide rushed into the chamber with urgent news. High Regent, we have reports of human ships operating outside their solar system. Impossible. Our blockade should prevent any ships from escaping. Not escaping. Sir, attacking. Human vessels have struck our supply depot at Kalar Prime. They destroyed the facility and captured 3 supply ships. The council erupted in confused discussion. How could primitive humans be conducting operations deep in Dominion space? Scholar Nixom provided the answer. The captured Dominion ships. The humans have been studying our navigation systems and hyperspace technology. They know our supply routes now. This was a nightmare scenario. If humans could strike at Dominion facilities anywhere in the galaxy, the entire empire was at risk. But the worst news was yet to come. High Regent, the aide continued, there's more. The humans have made contact with the slave populations on Kalar Prime. They're broadcasting messages about something they call liberation. Vextal felt his world shifting beneath him. For centuries, the Dominion's power had been based on the simple principle that resistance was impossible. Conquered species served willingly because they believed they had no choice. If humans proved that the Dominion could be defeated, Sir, War Marshal Kethra's voice cut through the silence. We're receiving priority communications from our garrison commanders on 17 different worlds. They report unusual behavior among the slave populations. What kind of behavior? Questions. The slaves are asking questions about the humans, about resistance, about freedom. In the depths of space near Jupiter, Captain Dongsu Lee stood on the bridge of the captured Dominion ship, Eternal Strength. The vessel had been completely retrofitted with human systems and crewed by the best officers Earth could provide. Sir, reported his communications officer, We're receiving responses to our broadcast from 4 different star systems. The Kalar population wants to know more about our offer. Lee smiled grimly. This was the next phase of humanity's war plan. It wasn't enough to defeat the Dominion militarily. They had to break the Empire's psychological hold over its subjects. Send them the full liberation package, Lee ordered. Technical specifications for building weapons, tactical manuals for guerrilla warfare, and most importantly, proof that the Dominion can be beaten. On Earth, Commander Wu Jin coordinated operations across multiple star systems. His command center now tracked human forces operating throughout Dominion space, turning the enemy's own infrastructure against them. Status report, he requested. Engineer Sora Choi looked up from her tactical displays. We now have 34 hybrid ships operational. Each one is superior to original Dominion designs. The captured technology has allowed us to leapfrog centuries of development. Dr. Hannah Park added her analysis. The psychological warfare campaign is exceeding expectations. 17 slave worlds are showing signs of unrest. The Dominion's own communication networks are spreading our message faster than they can stop it. But the most significant development came from an unexpected source. Sir, reported the intelligence officer, we've intercepted communications from something called the Dominion Council. They're debating whether to use planet-killer weapons against Earth. The command center fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. If the aliens decided to destroy Earth rather than conquer it, millions of humans would die. How long do we have? Wu Jin asked. Based on their fleet movements, probably 72 hours before they could bring planet-killer weapons to bear. Wu Jin turned to his senior staff. Recommendations? Captain Lee stepped forward. We accelerate the liberation campaign. If enough slave worlds rebel simultaneously, the Dominion won't be able to use extreme measures without risking total collapse. Engineer Sora had a different idea. We take the fight to them directly. Strike at their command structure before they can give the order. Dr. Park's suggestion was the most ambitious. We capture one of their high-ranking leaders. Show the galaxy that even the Dominion elite can be defeated. Wu Jin considered all 3 options. Then he made a decision that would change the course of the war. We do all 3. Captain Lee, coordinate with the liberation forces. Sora, prepare strike teams for attacks on Dominion command centers. Dr. Park, I want you to identify high-value targets for capture. What about you, sir? Lee asked. I'm going to send the Dominion Council a message they'll never forget. The message that reached High Regent Vextal 2 hours later was unlike anything the Dominion had ever received from a conquered species. High Regent Vextal, Commander Wu Jin's voice said through the transmission. This is Commander Kim of the Human Liberation Force. You have 72 hours to withdraw all Dominion forces from human space and release every slave species under your control. The council chamber erupted in outraged chittering and clicking. The audacity was beyond belief. If you refuse, the message continued, humanity will demonstrate why we are the apex predator species of the galaxy. We will hunt down every Dominion ship, free every slave world, and show the universe that your empire is built on fear and lies. And if you use planet-killer weapons against Earth, we will ensure that every surviving human dedicates their life to hunting down and exterminating every member of the Dominion leadership. We have studied your biology, your psychology, and your weaknesses. We know how to hurt you in ways you cannot imagine. The transmission ended with coordinates for a meeting location and a simple ultimatum. Choose wisely. You declared war on humanity. Now face the consequences. High Regent Vextal stared at the empty air where the human message had appeared. For the first time in his long life, he felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. Not fear of death or defeat, but fear of something worse. Fear that everything the Dominion represented was about to be swept away by a species that refused to accept their place in the galactic order. War Marshal Kethra, he said quietly, I want every available ship recalled to protect our core worlds. Sir? What about Earth? Earth has become secondary. These humans have proven they can strike anywhere in our territory. If we cannot contain them, our entire empire is at risk. As Dominion forces began withdrawing from the outer solar system, Commander Wu Jin knew that humanity had achieved something unprecedented in galactic history. They had made the Dominion afraid. Now, It was time to show the universe what happened when you threatened the most dangerous species alive. War Marshal Kethra stared at the tactical display in growing frustration. 2 weeks had passed since the invasion began, and his forces were no closer to conquering Earth. Worse, the humans seemed to be getting stronger. "This is unacceptable," he growled to his aide. "No primitive species has ever resisted us for more than a few days." The aide, looking nervous, pulled up the casualty reports. "War Marshal, we've lost 68 ships. The humans have lost only 18. Kethra's claws scraped against the metal console. According to every military doctrine he knew, this was impossible. His fleet was technologically superior and vastly outnumbered the enemy. The humans should have been crushed already. "There must be a way to break their resistance," he said. "What do we know about human psychology?" Scholar Nixom, the fleet's expert on primitive species, stepped forward. The thin, gray-skinned alien carried a datapad filled with observations about human behavior. "War Marshal, I've been studying their combat patterns. These humans are unlike any species we've encountered. They seem to become more dangerous when threatened, not less." "Explain." Nixom activated a holographic display showing human battle tactics. "Most species fight to survive. Humans fight to destroy their enemies. When we damage their ships, they use the damaged vessels as weapons. When we corner them, they attack more viciously." Kethra studied the display. "What do you recommend?" "Perhaps if we target their civilian population, they will see reason. Every other species surrenders when their breeding colonies are threatened." It was a logical suggestion. The Dominion had used this tactic successfully for centuries. Threaten the civilians, and military forces would surrender to protect them. "Very well," Kethra decided. "Prepare a strike force. We will attack their colonies on the 4th planet. That should convince them to submit." On Mars, the human colonies were well defended but not impregnable. The Red Planet housed 3 million people in underground cities, connected by tunnels and transport tubes. Colony Director Minho Park received the warning just minutes before the alien ships arrived. "All citizens to emergency shelters immediately," he broadcast across the colony networks. But there wasn't enough time. The Dominion strike force consisted of 20 ships, led by Captain Vortak of the scaled Vorn species. They had orders to destroy enough of the colony to make an example, but leave enough survivors to spread fear. "Target the surface installations," Vortak commanded. "Avoid the main population centers. We want frightened survivors, not total extinction." The alien weapons struck the Mars colonies with devastating force. Surface domes shattered. Transport lines were severed. 3 of the smaller outposts were completely destroyed. When the attack ended, 12,000 humans were dead. On Earth, Commander Wu Jin received the casualty reports in the main command center. The numbers scrolled across his screen. Military personnel, civilian workers, families, children. Dr. Hannah Park watched his face as he read. She had never seen Wu Jin look like this before. His expression was calm, but something cold and terrible had appeared in his eyes. "Sir?" Captain Dong Su Lee asked quietly. Wu Jin stood slowly and walked to the large display showing the solar system. Red markers indicated where the Mars attack had occurred. "They think this will make us surrender," he said, his voice deadly quiet. Engineer Sora Choi looked up from her technical reports. "Sir, what are your orders?" Wu Jin turned to face his senior staff. When he spoke again, his voice carried an edge that made everyone in the room pay attention. "Dr. Park, I need you to send a message to the Dominion Council. Tell them that by attacking our civilians, they have just made the biggest mistake in galactic history." "What should the message say, sir?" "Tell them that they are no longer fighting the Earth Defense Force. They are now fighting humanity itself. And humanity doesn't take prisoners." The message that went out to the Dominion fleet was simple and direct, but Scholar Nixom, who intercepted and translated it, found himself confused by its contents. "War Marshal," he reported to Kethra, "the humans have sent a response to our attack on their colonies. But it makes no sense. Read it. They claim that our attack has removed their rules of engagement and that we will now face protocol tenacity. They say we have awakened something we don't understand." Kethra laughed. "Empty threats from a dying species. What can they possibly do that they haven't already tried?" Scholar Nixom wasn't so sure. He had been studying human behavior patterns, and something about this message worried him. The humans weren't reacting like any other species would. The answer came 6 hours later. A single human ship, the Guangzhou, approached a Dominion patrol of 5 vessels near the asteroid belt. Instead of the hit-and-run tactics the aliens had grown used to, the human ship broadcast a message. Dominion vessels, this is Captain Eugene Han of the Gwangju. You have 30 seconds to abandon your ships. The Dominion captain found this hilarious. 1 ship against 5? These humans have lost their minds, but then the Gwangju did. Something that no enemy had ever done in the Dominion's long history of conquest. It rammed the lead alien ship at full speed. Both vessels exploded in a ball of fire and metal. But in the moments before the collision, the Gwangju had transmitted detailed targeting data to other human ships hidden nearby. The remaining 4 Dominion ships found themselves under attack from enemies they couldn't see, using weapons and tactics they had never encountered before. None of the alien ships survived. Similar attacks began happening across the solar system. Human ships that would have tried to escape before now fought to the death, taking alien vessels with them whenever possible. Worse, the humans began boarding Dominion ships. Captain Lee led the first boarding assault on a damaged alien cruiser near Jupiter. His team of 20 Marines used improvised airlocks to cut through the ship's hull and fight their way inside. The aliens had never faced human soldiers in person before. They had always conquered from a distance, using their ship's superior firepower. They weren't prepared for close combat against a species that had evolved as predators. They fight like demons, reported the surviving alien captain after Lee's team had captured his ship. They show no fear. Even when wounded, they continue attacking. Scholar Nixom studied the reports from these boarding actions with growing alarm. Human combat behavior made no sense according to any psychological model he knew. War Marshal, he reported to Kethra, I believe we have made a critical error in our assessment of this species. How so? Every other species we have conquered evolved as prey animals. Their instinct when threatened is to flee or submit. But humans evolved as predators. When threatened, their instinct is to attack. Kethra dismissed this concern. Predator or prey, they are still primitive. We will overwhelm them through superior numbers. But the captured alien technology was allowing humans to upgrade their ships faster than the Dominion could adapt. Engineer Sora's teams worked around the clock, combining human engineering with alien systems to create vessels unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The new human ships moved faster, hit harder, and used tactical systems that confused alien sensors. More importantly, they were crewed by humans who had learned to fight without mercy. Dr. Park's psychological warfare programs added another layer to the human advantage. The aliens began receiving broadcasts, showing the fate of Dominion ships that had attacked human colonies. The recordings were designed to break alien morale by showing them exactly what humans were capable of when their families were threatened. This is what happens to those who harm human civilians, the broadcast said, showing footage of captured alien crews being interrogated by human Marines who looked like they enjoyed their work. The effect on Dominion forces was immediate and devastating. Alien ship crews began experiencing something they had never felt before: fear. War Marshal Kethra found himself facing reports of declining morale, increasing casualties, and tactics that seemed to violate every rule of civilized warfare. Sir, his aide reported nervously, we've lost contact with 12 more ships. The humans appear to be capturing them intact and using them against us. Impossible. How can a primitive species learn to operate our technology so quickly? Scholar Nixom had the answer, but he wasn't sure Kethra wanted to hear it. War Marshal, I've been analyzing human learning patterns. They appear to adapt at a rate unprecedented in galactic history. Adapt how? They study our weapons, our ships, our tactics, and then they improve upon them. Each engagement makes them more dangerous than before. For the first time since the invasion began, Kethra felt something he had never experienced in battle: doubt. What are you saying, Scholar? I'm saying, War Marshal, that we may have declared war on a species unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. They don't just fight to survive. They fight to win. And they learn from every battle. Commander Wu Jin stood on his bridge watching reports stream in from across the solar system. Human forces were no longer just defending Earth. They were hunting Dominion ships, like the predators they had always been. Status report, he ordered. 96. Enemy ships destroyed, Captain Lee reported. We've captured 14 intact and are using them against their former owners. Engineer Sora added, the new hybrid ships are performing beyond expectations. We're now technologically equal to the enemy in most areas. War Marshal Kethra stood on the command deck of the massive battleship Eternal Dominion, watching the human fleet through the main display. The tiny ships looked like insects compared to his mighty vessels. 300 ships against 47, he said to his aide. This will be over quickly. The aide, a scaled creature from the Vorn species, nodded eagerly. Yes, War Marshal. Should we demand surrender one final time? No. High Regent Vextal wants to make an example of these humans. We will crush them completely, then broadcast the destruction across the galaxy. Let other primitive species see what happens to those who defy the Dominion. The human fleet hung in space near their moon, maintaining a defensive formation. Kethra expected them to charge forward in a desperate attack, as most primitive species did when facing superior force. Instead, something unexpected happened. War Marshal, reported the sensor operator. The human ships are scattering. Kethra frowned. Scattering? Explain. They're breaking formation and moving in different directions. Some are heading toward their asteroid belt. Others are moving behind their moon. A few are diving toward their planet's atmosphere. This wasn't the behavior Kethra expected. In every previous conquest, enemy fleets had either charged bravely to their deaths or tried to escape the system entirely. They had never just spread out. Are they retreating? Asked the aide. Unknown, Kethra replied. Pursue them. All battle groups engage the fleeing enemy. The Dominion fleet split into smaller groups, each chasing after different human ships. This was still manageable, Kethra thought. His individual battle groups were each larger than the entire human fleet. The first engagement happened near the asteroid belt. Captain Dong-Su Lee commanded a squadron of 12 human ships, dancing between the floating rocks as 20 Dominion vessels pursued them. Target the lead ship, Lee ordered. All fighters, attack pattern Delta. The human ships moved like nothing the aliens had ever seen. Instead of flying in straight lines and exchanging fire, they wove between asteroids, used the rocks as shields, and struck from unexpected angles. Commander, Wu Jin watched from his flagship as Lee's squadron destroyed 2 alien ships and damaged 3 others before disappearing deeper into the asteroid belt. Excellent work, Wu Jin transmitted. Now make them chase you. This was the key to the human strategy. Don't meet the enemy head-on. Make them come to you on ground you choose using tactics they don't understand. Engineer Sora's modifications to the human ships proved crucial. The new stealth systems allowed them to vanish from alien sensors for short periods. The improved engines let them accelerate and turn faster than the aliens expected. Most importantly, the humans fought like they lived as predators. On the other side of the moon, another human squadron engaged a Dominion battle group. But instead of a straight fight, the humans used a tactic that confused the aliens completely. The human ships pretended to be damaged and running away. The aliens chased them thinking they had easy prey. But it was a trap. More human ships waited in ambush, hidden in the moon's shadow. Now, commanded the squadron leader. The hidden ships struck from behind while the fleeing ships turned around and attacked from the front. The aliens found themselves caught in a crossfire they never saw coming. War Marshal Kethra watched his forces suffer losses he hadn't expected. These weren't the desperate charges of a doomed species. This was coordinated, intelligent warfare. How many ships have we lost? He demanded. 17 destroyed, 23 damaged, reported his tactical officer. And the humans? 5 destroyed, 2 damaged. Kethra's scaled skin flushed with anger. His forces were winning, but not by the overwhelming margin he expected. Worse, the human ships kept disappearing and reappearing in new locations. They're using guerrilla tactics, observed his aide. The Cathari tried similar methods during their resistance. The Cathari were ground fighters, Kethra replied. No one has ever used such tactics in space combat. But humans had. They adapted their ground-based predator instincts to 3-dimensional warfare. They hunted in packs, set ambushes, and struck when their prey was weakest. Near Jupiter's moons, another engagement showed the aliens just how different humans were from their previous enemies. A single human ship, the Busan, faced off against 5 Dominion vessels. Instead of running or fighting desperately, the Busan did something that made no sense to the aliens. It charged straight at them, firing everything it had. The aliens prepared for an easy kill, but at the last second, the Busan changed course and crashed into one of the moons. The resulting explosion destroyed the moon and took 3 alien ships with it. They destroyed themselves. stammered the Dominion captain watching the explosion. "No," said his first officer quietly. "They destroyed us." This was what Dr. Hannah Park had tried to explain to the Earth Defense Council. Humans were the only known species that would sacrifice themselves to hurt their enemies. Other species fought to survive. Humans fought to win, even if winning meant dying. Back on Earth, Dr. Park monitored the battle from the command center. "The psychological impact is working," she reported to the staff. "Alien communications show increasing confusion and frustration. The aliens expected quick surrender or glorious last stands. Instead, they faced an enemy that refused to die easily and made every victory cost more than it was worth." Days passed. The battle for Earth became a running fight across the solar system. Human ships appeared from nowhere, struck hard, and vanished before the aliens could respond effectively. Engineer Sora's teams worked around the clock to repair damaged ships and upgrade others with salvaged alien technology. "Every engagement teaches us something new about their systems," she reported. "We're learning faster than they are." This was another human advantage the aliens hadn't considered. Humans adapted quickly to new situations. They learned from every fight and used that knowledge to improve their tactics. War Marshal Kethra found himself facing a type of warfare he had never experienced. His superior numbers meant nothing when he couldn't bring them to bear effectively. His advanced technology was being turned against him by an enemy that reverse-engineered captured systems within hours. Worst of all, the humans seemed to be getting stronger as the battle continued. Each engagement left them more dangerous than before. "War Marshal," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving messages from the Dominion Council. They want status reports." Kethra hesitated. How could he explain that his massive fleet was being frustrated by a handful of primitive ships? How could he admit that humans were fighting in ways that made no strategic sense but somehow worked? "Tell them the battle continues," he said finally. But Kethra knew the truth. This wasn't going according to plan. The humans weren't behaving like any enemy he had ever faced. They fought like predators who had been cornered. Commander Wu Jin stood on his bridge watching the tactical display show alien ships scattered across the solar system. His forces had taken losses, but they had also taught the enemy that humans wouldn't be easy prey. "Status report," he ordered. Captain Lee's voice came through the communication system. "All squadrons operational. We've destroyed 43 enemy ships and damaged dozens more. They're starting to group their forces defensively." "Good," Wu Jin replied. "That means they're learning to fear us." Sora added her report. "We've captured enough alien technology to upgrade our remaining ships. The next phase of the battle should go even better for us." Dr. Park's analysis was the most encouraging. Alien morale is dropping. Their communications show frustration and confusion. They expected to be home by now, celebrating another easy conquest. Wu Jin smiled grimly. The first phase of planned tenacity was working. The aliens had learned that humans wouldn't surrender easily. Now it was time to teach them what humanity really was. "All ships," he broadcast, "prepare for Phase 2. Let's show these aliens what happens when you threaten a species that evolved on a death world." The hunt was just beginning, and the aliens were starting to realize that they might not be the predators in this fight after all. The emergency session of the United Earth Council lasted 18 hours. Representatives from every nation sat in the Great Assembly Hall in Geneva, watching the recordings from the alien station over and over again. Commander Wu Jin Kim stood at attention as the Secretary General finished reading Ambassador Yun's report. The room was completely silent except for the quiet hum of the air recycling system. "Commander Kim," the Secretary General said finally, "you are hereby placed in command of Earth's defense. You have complete authority over all military forces and resources." Wu Jin nodded. "Yes, sir. I'll need Dr. Park's full analysis and access to every piece of data we have about these aliens." Dr. Hannah Park stepped forward from the observer section. "Commander, I've been working non-stop since we returned. The aliens made several critical mistakes during the meeting." "Explain." Dr. Park activated a holographic display showing the alien station. "First, they assumed our technology was primitive because our ships look simple compared to theirs. They didn't consider that we might have different design priorities." Captain Dong-Soo Lee, Earth's top military strategist, joined the conversation. "What kind of design priorities?" "Speed and efficiency," Dr. Park replied. "Their ships are massive and heavily armed, But they're also slow and require huge amounts of energy. Our ships are built for quick strikes and fast escapes. Wu Jin studied the display. What else? They revealed their entire military doctrine without realizing it. They rely on overwhelming force and intimidation. They've never fought an enemy that uses different tactics. Engineer So-Ra Choi, who had been quietly analyzing the alien technology in the recordings, spoke up. There's something else. Their weapons and ships look advanced, but the basic designs are old. Very old. How old? Wu Jin asked. Based on the power signatures and construction methods, I'd say they haven't made any major improvements in at least 500 years. The room buzzed with quiet conversation. Captain Lee frowned. How is that possible? Any military force should constantly improve their technology. So-Ra pulled up technical diagrams. That's the problem. They haven't had to. They're so much stronger than every enemy they've faced that they never needed to innovate. They just build bigger versions of the same old designs. Dr. Park nodded. It gets worse for them. I've analyzed the behavior patterns of every alien species we saw at the station. They're all prey animals. What do you mean? Wu Jin asked. On their homeworlds, these species evolved as herbivores or scavengers. They form large groups for protection. When threatened, their instinct is to submit to a stronger leader or run away in groups. Captain Lee started to understand. But humans evolved differently. Exactly, Dr. Park continued. Earth is what we call a death world. Extreme weather, earthquakes, volcanoes, ice ages, and aggressive predators. Humans survive by becoming apex predators ourselves. She changed the display to show Earth's evolutionary history. Humans are persistence hunters. We don't give up. When threatened, we don't run or submit. We adapt and fight back. So-Ra added her own analysis. The aliens also made a tactical error. They gave us their ultimatum and then left. That gives us time to prepare. How much time do we actually have? Wu Jin asked. Based on their fleet movements that our satellites detected, approximately 6 weeks, Captain Lee replied. Wu Jin turned to address the full council. 6 weeks to prepare for a war against an enemy with superior numbers and technology. We need every advantage we can get. Over the following days, Earth transformed into a fortress. Every military base worked around the clock. Factories that had been making civilian goods switched to producing weapons and ship components. So-Ra worked with teams of engineers to upgrade human ships with new systems, based on the alien technology they had observed. We can't match their firepower, she explained to Wu Jin during one of their daily meetings. But we can make our ships faster and harder to track. Dr. Park continued studying the alien recordings. I found something interesting about their psychology. They've conquered so many species that they expect immediate surrender. They don't know how to handle prolonged resistance. What does that mean for us? Captain Lee asked. It means we should never fight them the way they expect. No big fleet battles, no direct confrontations. We need to make them frustrated and confused. Wu Jin reviewed the defense plans that Captain Lee had developed. Guerrilla warfare in space. Hit-and-run attacks. Make them chase us while we pick off their smaller ships. Exactly, Lee replied. We use the asteroid belt and lunar installations as cover. Strike fast, then disappear before they can respond. Meanwhile, Ambassador Yun worked with the diplomatic corps to prepare for the worst. If Earth falls, we need to make sure that other species know what happened here. Someone has to warn the galaxy about what the Dominion really is. Dr. Park made another disturbing discovery while analyzing the alien social structure. These species have been slaves for so long that they've forgotten what freedom means. They actually believe that serving the Dominion is good for them. Stockholm Syndrome on a galactic scale, So-Ra observed. But there might be others, Dr. Park continued. Species that remember freedom and want it back. If we can survive the first attack, we might be able to find allies. 3 weeks before the alien deadline, Earth's defenses were as ready as they could be. The orbital platforms had been upgraded with new weapons. The fleet had been refitted with improved engines and stealth systems. Most importantly, every human in the military had been briefed on the enemy they would face. Wu Jin gathered his senior staff for a final strategy meeting. We all know the odds. They have 300 ships. We have 47. In a straight fight, we lose. So we don't fight straight, Captain Lee said. The key is to survive the first engagement, So-Ra added. Once they realize we're not going to surrender immediately, they'll have to adapt to our tactics. But they've been using the same strategy for centuries. Change will be hard for them. Dr. Park had spent weeks analyzing human military history. There's one more advantage we have. Humans have been fighting wars against superior enemies for thousands of years. We know how to win when we're outnumbered. By being smarter, faster, and more vicious than they expect, Wu Jin concluded. The final week passed quickly. Long-range sensors detected the alien fleet approaching the solar system. Just as the aliens had promised, there were hundreds of ships. Each one was larger than anything in Earth's fleet, but Wu Jin felt calm as he stood on the bridge of the flagship Sol. His people were ready. More importantly, the aliens had no idea what they were really facing. "All ships, this is Commander Kim," he broadcast to the human fleet. "Remember, we're not trying to win a glorious battle. We're trying to survive and make them pay for every meter of space they take." Captain Lee's voice came over the communications channel from his own ship. "All fighter squadrons are in position. Asteroid belt teams are ready," Sora reported from the engineering deck. "All ships have been fitted with the new stealth systems. We can disappear from their sensors for short periods." Dr. Park, monitoring from Earth, added her own report. "Psychological warfare packages are ready to broadcast. We're going to show them things they've never seen before." The alien fleet entered the outer solar system right on schedule. They moved in a perfect formation, confident and unhurried. Their lead ship broadcast the same message in multiple languages. "People of Earth, this is War Marshal Kethra of the Galactic Dominion. You have had time to reconsider your foolish rejection of our generous offer. Surrender now and accept your place as servants or be destroyed." Wu Jin opened a channel to respond. "War Marshal Kethra, this is Commander Kim of the Earth Defense Force. Humanity respectfully declines your offer. We choose freedom." A long pause followed. Then the alien voice returned, sounding amused. "So be it. Your species will serve as an example to others who might consider resistance. Attack formation, advance on the third planet." Wu Jin smiled grimly. "All ships execute Plan Tenacity. Let's show these aliens what happens when you threaten humanity." The war for Earth's freedom was about to begin, and the aliens were about to learn that humans had been preparing for this fight their entire evolutionary history. Ambassador Taiho Yun stood on the bridge of the new Sol, watching the alien station grow larger on the main screen. His hands were steady, but his heart beat fast. This was humanity's first official meeting with the galactic community. Everything had to go perfectly. "Sir, we're getting their docking instructions now," said the communications officer. The alien language sounded like clicks and whistles, but the translation software worked well enough. Taiho straightened his formal uniform. Behind him, Dr. Hana Park checked her equipment one more time. She would record everything about these aliens for Earth scientists to study later. The new Sol was humanity's best ship, but Taiho knew it looked primitive compared to the alien station. The station was massive, made of some kind of crystal that seemed to glow from within. Ships of different designs floated around it like insects around a flower. "Docking complete, sir," reported the pilot. Taiho walked toward the airlock with his small team. Dr. Park followed, along with 2 security guards and a translator. They had practiced this moment hundreds of times, but nothing could prepare them for what they were about to see. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. The alien station's air smelled strange, like metal and flowers mixed together. The gravity felt lighter than Earth normal. 3 beings waited for them in the docking bay. They were tall and thin, with gray skin that looked like stone. Their eyes were large and black, without any white parts. They wore robes that seemed to float around their bodies. "Welcome, primitive ones," said the center alien. Its voice came through small speakers attached to its robe. "I am High Regent Vextal of the Galactic Dominion Council." Taiho stepped forward and bowed slightly. "I am Ambassador Taiho Yun, representing the people of Earth and humanity. We come in peace, hoping to establish friendly relations with your civilization." The aliens made a sound that the translator marked as laughter. High Regent Vextal tilted its head. "How amusing. You speak as if you have a choice in the matter." Dr. Park's instruments quietly recorded everything. She noticed that the aliens showed no fear or caution around the humans. They acted like farmers meeting with cattle. High Regent Vextal gestured for them to follow. They walked through corridors filled with holographic displays showing star maps. Taiho saw hundreds of systems marked with the same symbol. The Dominion's territory was huge. "Your species is young," High Regent Vextal said as they walked. "You have only just learned to travel between stars. You come from a single world. These are the signs of a lesser race. We prefer to think of ourselves as a developing species," Taiho replied carefully. We have much to learn, but we believe we have something to offer as well. Again, that sound that meant laughter. What could a primitive species possibly offer us? We have ruled the galaxy for thousands of your years. We have conquered 47 different worlds and species. They entered a large chamber where more aliens waited. Some looked like the first group, but others were completely different. One group had scales and multiple arms. Another looked like walking plants with faces made of bark. Behold the Galactic Dominion Council, High Regent Vextal announced. 6 great species who have brought order to this galaxy. And now we offer the same gift to humanity. Tejo felt his stomach drop. This didn't sound like an offer of friendship. High Regent Vextal stood before a large throne and spread its arms wide. People of Earth, we are generous. We could simply take your world by force as we have done with others. But we choose to be merciful. Surrender now, and we will allow your species to survive as servants. The chamber fell silent. Dr. Park's equipment kept recording, capturing the moment that would change everything for humanity. Servants? Tejo asked, keeping his voice calm. Yes, you will provide labor and resources to the Dominion. In return, we will protect you from the dangers of the galaxy. You will live in peace under our rule. Many species have found great happiness in service to their betters. One of the plant-like aliens spoke. The Cathari resisted us for 50 years. Now they work our minds and sing songs of gratitude for our guidance. Another alien, this one covered in scales, nodded. The Vorn thought they were mighty warriors. We showed them the error of their ways. Now they serve as guards for our prisons and thank us for the honor. Tejo looked around the chamber. Every alien face showed the same expression, bored confidence. They had done this many times before. They expected humans to react the same way as all the others. Dr. Park stepped closer to Tejo and whispered, "They're not negotiating. They're dictating terms." Tejo nodded slightly. He had hoped for friendship between equals. Instead, he found conquerors who saw humans as nothing more than another prize to collect. High Regent Vextal, Tejo said formally, "I thank you for your offer. However, humanity must respectfully decline. We wish to remain free and independent." The chamber erupted in that clicking laughter sound. High Regent Vextal actually wiped tears from its large black eyes. "Decline," it said, still laughing. "You think this is a request? You think you have a choice?" "Every species has the right to choose its own path," Tejo replied. "Rights?" High Regent Vextal's laughter stopped. Its voice became cold. "Rights are earned through strength. You have no strength. You have one small world and a handful of primitive ships. We have armadas that could turn your sun into dust." Dr. Park's readings showed that the aliens were becoming agitated. Their body temperature was rising and their movements were getting sharper. "Young species always think they are special," said one of the scaled aliens. "They believe their brief existence means something. Time teaches them better." High Regent Vextal stood from its throne. "Humanity, you have just declared war on the Galactic Dominion. This is amusing to us. No species has ever successfully resisted our will. We're not declaring war," Tejo said. "We're simply choosing freedom." "The same thing," High Regent Vextal replied. "Very well. We had hoped to add your species to our collection peacefully. Now we will do it by force. You have one cycle of your local star to reconsider. When we return, you will surrender or be destroyed." The aliens began to leave the chamber. Dr. Park grabbed Tejo's arm. "We need to go, now." As they walked back to their ship, High Regent Vextal called after them. "Enjoy your last days of freedom, humans. When we arrive at your Earth, we will show you what happens to species who think they can stand against the Dominion." The new soul undocked from the alien station and began its journey back to Earth. In his quarters, Tejo sat staring at the star charts. Dr. Park joined him with her preliminary analysis. "They're serious," she said. "Their technology is far ahead of ours. Their fleet could probably destroy our entire Space Force in hours." Tejo nodded slowly. "But they made one mistake." "What's that?" "They gave us time to prepare, and they told us exactly what they planned to do." He looked up at her. "Dr. Park, I need you to analyze everything we recorded. Every word, every gesture, every piece of technology we saw. Why? Because we're going to war. And if we're going to survive, we need to understand our enemy better than they understand us." The new soul jumped to faster than light speed, carrying news that would change humanity forever. Behind them, the aliens prepared their fleets, confident that they would soon add another species to their collection. They had no idea what they had just awakened.